Well, we all kind of knew that Game 4 between the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Houston Rockets was going to be pivotal in this series. If the Thunder had any chance whatsoever, any chance of winning this series, they had to win this game. The problem is what I've been trying to say all year, but some people would take it as me hating on James Harden. I don't know some people, man, and their demented and deflected ways of thinking, but it's just simple mathematics and simple observation. Usually for Russell Westbrook and the Thunder to win, either Russell has to have a big game to offset his teammates not performing, or he has to have help, and as well as himself playing a good game, if not a great game. He has to have help from guys on his team like Andre Roberson and Steven Adams and Enes Kanter. He has to have some type of contributions in some way, shape, or form from his teammates. Whereas James Harden, he can have a bad game, and they can still persevere against almost all of the teams in the NBA except for the great teams like the Warriors and maybe the Spurs. Hell, I think even the Cleveland Cavaliers, they can still beat them, even if Harden doesn't have a great game. But the Thunder have to. This is my thing about the Thunder. I was telling a friend of mine this earlier. You know what the Rockets' philosophy is, right? My thing is, if I were the head coach of the Thunder, I could just care less about Harden. My strategy about Harden is let him score as many points as he wants to, all right? Let him drive. Let him do these things. What I will avoid trying to do with James Harden is foul him shooting from the perimeter. Avoid fouling shooting from the perimeter and guard the three, okay? Don't double James Harden while he's driving, and then you leave one of those great scorers open. Because the three-point shot, when it's unguarded, uncontested, is the greatest weapon in the NBA right now. It's the greatest rally caller going today. A team can have a 20-point lead, and if you have three-point shooters on your club, and these guys get going, a 20-point lead can evaporate just like that. The three-point shot changed the game. The way it's been used now, it used to be a home run shot, a strategic shot, but the way that it's proliferated in the league the last couple of years, especially the last 20 years, I would say, it's the greatest weapon in the league right now. The Thunder started out good. They started out great. There was a lot of energy. There was a lot of ball movement. There was a lot of great physical defense without fouling. And James Harden, maybe in combination of the earlier defense and maybe just him not being right today, struggled. In fact, I don't think he made a three-pointer today. I think he was 0 for 7 from three-point range, only 5 of 16 from the floor. But despite how well OKC played in the first quarter especially, a bothersome and troublesome pattern still emerged. Whenever Russell Westbrook is not on the floor, the Thunder struggle, not just offensively, but defensively at times. It's like something goes away from this team's psyche when Super Russ is now on the floor. When he's on the floor, it's like I make a comparison. I think I posted it on Twitter. It's like he's Michael Jordan. I'm not saying he's Michael Jordan. I'm just saying, just using an analogy. It's like he's Michael Jordan and his teammates are Looney Tunes. And you know how they wanted Mike's secret stuff. Well, when he's on the court with them, his energy, his presence is their secret stuff. But once he's not there, nobody wants to take the shot. Players I think are overthinking. They don't want to mess up. They read the press clippings. They read what people say about them. They hear what people say about them. And I think they tighten up. And on defense, it shows. They make bad decisions, you know. But 78 said this in his video, and it's very true. Despite the fact that Russell Westbrook had a triple-double at halftime, despite that, and he finished with 35 points, 14 rebounds, and 14 assists. And despite the fact they played so well, they're only up by 4, despite how poorly Houston played. Part of that was because Nene, who had his best years with the Denver Nuggets, quietly was having the best playoff game of his career. He would go a perfect 12 of 12 from the floor, 28 points, 10 rebounds, and he absolutely eviscerated Steven Adams. Absolutely eviscerated him. Steven Adams had an okay game, 18.7 rebounds, but the Rockets just have too many weapons, man. And another thing that I don't think people talk about with the Rockets is the type of mentality that a lot of these guys have. You gotta understand that most of these guys, well, good portion of these guys at least, have some playoff experience. Some key guys. Nene, he's been to the Western Conference Finals years ago, the Denver Nuggets. He has some playoff experience. He has NBA experience. Okay. Guys like, of course, James Harden. He's playoff tested. Trevor Ariza, he was on those championship Laker teams with Kobe, Pau Gasol, Metta World Peace, Andrew Bynum. He played with those guys. So this is a team that has a little bit more playoff experience, probably collectively, than the Thunder. And this is also a team of guys, Eric Gordon, Lou Williams, all right, Trevor Ariza. These are guys who have experience, and some of these guys, like in particular Eric Gordon and Lou Williams, these are guys who are scorers. These are guys that can put the ball in the basket. For the Thunder, they don't really have too many guys that can consistently do that. And also, they don't have, Russell Westbrook kind of lacks a consistent second guy, a guy who consistently can put the ball in the basket when Russell Westbrook's not on the floor. I think Russell Westbrook also is slowly starting to wear out from his vast responsibilities this season. I heard one of the announcers today, oh man, who was it? I'm trying to think who the announcer was when I was watching the game. Was it, it might have been Mark Jackson. He said that for the first time since he's been covering the Thunder this year, he heard Russell Westbrook asked to come out of a game, that he was getting tired. And Russell Westbrook might finally be starting to feel it. I mean, and you can't blame this guy for being tired. Okay? He's playing, heavier minutes in the postseason after playing, heavy minutes and heavy, vast responsibilities. Now, One thing I will say, people say I don't criticize Russell Westbrook. I see nothing but, rainbows and daffodils and roses and honey blossoms when I see Russell Westbrook. One thing I don't like that he does is when he sometimes reverts back to jacking up 3-pointers. I don't like it. I can't stand when he does it. It's okay when you're like in a heat check and you're doing it, but I think Russell's better at sticking to a mid-range and slashing type game. That seems to suit him better. I also would like for Russell next season to go from, I want him to get help, number one. He needs some offensive help. He needs a couple more guys on the team that could score. I would like him to go from averaging 32 points a game to more around the 25, 26 points per game. And I'd like for him to get his field goal percentage up more from 42%, which is understandable because of the responsibilities and defense that to focus on him. I'd like him to get it more to about the 45 or so range at least. But OKC just messed up at the end, man. James Harden got away with an offensive foul on Alexis Abrinas, I think that's his name is. A blatant offensive foul. And but that's the superstar treatment that some people get, you know what I'm saying? I agree with 78 that that Houston is going to hack a Robertson. They're going to do that. And I don't understand the strategy of when you're in a close ball game like this, you try to avoid fouling the 90%ers. At least that'd be my rule. Don't foul these guys that shoot 85, 90+% from the foul line because you're basically giving the team automatic points. If you're going to foul somebody, on the Rockets, foul Nene. That's it. Strategically foul him. Don't foul a James Harden who shoots close to 90% from the foul line. Okay, and he's been locked in the foul line this whole postseason. He's shot over 50 of them so far in just 4 games. But there's a bunch of woulda, coulda, shouldas. The Rockets were able to eke away with a 113-109 victory, and they lead this series 3-1. They're going to Houston, and they're going to beat the shit out of OKC, okay? They're going to be hype. They're going to want to emphasize in their mind that James Harden is no doubt about it, the superior candidate for MVP in their minds. Collectively, Houston. They're going to beat the bejabbers out of OKC. And I also agree in conclusion with one other thing. Billy Donovan doesn't get called out for the mediocre NBA coach that he is. All right? I've said this before in a video. 78 mentioned this. That Billy Donovan needs to be fired. And I agree. I think he does. I don't know if they're going to do it. I think he's well liked by his team. But I think he needs to go. I think he's part of the problem. People love to talk about how, I said this in the video before, I'm going to say it again because I don't know whether people heard this or not, or remember me saying this. People always talk about how OKC blew that 3-1 lead against Golden State. Part of the problem was Steve Kerr severely outcoaching Billy Donovan in those last 3 games of that series. Severely outcoaching him. He makes a lot of amateurish decisions out there. And I think he needs to go. And that's it, man. Congratulations to Houston. I mean, I know the series isn't over technically, but 3-1 deficit. 2 of those games are being at Houston. It's a pretty tall order, man. Russell Westbrook would have to have some awesome games and you know, it's just I don't see it. I see them losing. What do that next game? It's probably Tuesday, maybe. I see them losing 4-1. I just can't see them winning, man. So that's just my thoughts on the game. Tell me what you guys think.